And I'm sure this morning you're telling someone, Odo Miniwa, Miniwa. And that's what I'm telling these two gentlemen here because I'm stuck with them throughout the morning. But good morning to you, Ghana. Thank you once again for allowing us into your homes. Of course, we serve you the best breakfast this morning from now till 9 a.m. when we wrap up the show for all of us to go back and do other productive things. Bright and Johnny, good morning.
Yesterday, good morning. Yesterday, when the clouds gathered, I thought it was going to rain.
Right.
And then the rain swerved everybody
else.
And I was thinking, wow, what's happening? But
that's how God works.
Yeah.
He's very unpredictable.
Yeah. It's cool like that. You know? So we're back again.
But this time of the year, does it rain?
Well, June, July.
No, we're still in July.
So I thought it was just the weather getting that cloudy and cold and we told a lot of fish, but I didn't know.
But even the fish,
but it drizzled. I mean, it's still drizzled in some parts of Accra, but it didn't, with the amount of clouding we saw, it probably didn't rain as much as we expected. But
are we getting the fish?
That's what I was going to get to. Are we getting the fish? And are they beginning to mate?
Well,
because we're getting very close to that season.
Even around this time, the close season is coming up, and there's going to be the fisher folks are saying that look, ban the pear trawlers, instead of banning us, because the petrolers, once they get in there, they scoop everything along with the fingerlings. Maybe
but I'm assuming when they do this, it will, ban everyone having any activity on the seas. And so petrolers, fishermen, even those who use that place as their sanitary site, I hope they will all be banned because we're saying we're closing it so that the fish can mate and also at least to restore the ecosystem. And so I think everyone who does any activity whatsoever on the shores should be banned during this time.
But you see, if you ban it and then you come back when the fishes are mated and everything else, there's a lot of fish to catch, and then the pear trawlers come and then they scoop out the fingerlings and everything. You're back to
but is it a total? It's not a total ban. I hear tuna fishers, those who go for tuna can go.
Well, so when you catch the fishes and you see that it's not tuna, you
then
drop
throw
it.
them back.
Well, yes, because I think Professor Nunu, the director of the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture, said that it's not a total ban, and that those who go for tuna can still go fishing.
That's where I have a problem,
I think that they're saying that because, Homowo usually would use tuna, a bit of chile or group of fish, to do the celebrations because it's a high-end, fish. Having grown up around the coast too, I know that they have a certain ritual they do along the coast. Yes, along the coast. The Tuesdays when they don't go for fishing, they slaughter a whole cow, and then they put the carcass of the cow in the sea.
That's supposed to attract
the rationale to attract the fishes to come. These days, they slaughter the cow, they eat it all, and then they put the intestines in there. How do you expect to attract any fish?
No,
but how do you expect to attract? I'm saying that back in the day, they put the whole carcass in there. They put it at different places.
But the economy is tight, so now we're changing our dynamics.
Because I have been buying Keta school boys around, the Bukom Sports area.
Yes.
The median in between.
Exactly.
Lavender Hill.
Exactly.
There's a lot of Keta school boys. That's why I buy mine.
Yeah.
Very close to Lavender.
They call it amoni.
Yes.
AJ, do you eat amoni or Keta?
Oh, he doesn't know. This boy is a dadabi. He eats sardine. Good morning. How you doing?
He eats seafood, octopus, shrimps, and calamari and all that.
Oysters and.
You don't eat octopus.
No,
what do you call octopus in your language?
In my language,
yeah.
Right.
Is it pussy?
Why are you coming to ask right? In your language, I don't know if you
can.
He doesn't even know.
I know Fanti, but I just don't know for octopus.
So what do you know for?
Gentlemen and lady, I have struggled to pronounce this food that you guys eat. Is it mashawa or
Shawarma. Right.
Okay. It's an Indian.
No. Why did you start from mashawa? I thought it was coming to say marshmallow. And then all of a sudden we heard.
Be slow and bright because he shout.
Grandpa.
So it's not mashawa.
No.
Shawarma. All right. Shawarma.
No, I know where Bright is going.
It's okay.
Bread and
I'm sure if
or you want to say Mama Sha.
You know what? I saw a video yesterday of a guy who went to a bank to withdraw money and the bank delayed, and so the manager called him into her office and said, "Oh, what can I offer you?" So this gentleman asked for shawarma, beer, champagne, and rice. And
I'm sure that amounts to all the money he's coming from.
After eating it, let me have your account number.
10 Ghana.
The guy had only 1,500 naira in his account. The manageress was crazy.
I'm sure they will lash him well. You have to work for that money. But anyway, AJ, give us the news.
Well, the news is coming right after this. Hello and good morning. My name is Anthony Jackson. Let's look at the headlines for this morning. Now, the Attorney General levels 29 charges against former Director General of Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Ernest Thompson, and 4 others. Customers of Shashi branch of Midland Savings and Loans besiege company's premises to withdraw their savings. Asumdue Park, the resting place of former President John Evans Atta Mills, desecrated. And on the foreign front, Pakistanis start voting in polls amid heavy security. Now, the Attorney General has leveled 29 charges against former Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Ernest Thompson, and 4 others over the $72 million operating business suit contract awarded to Perfect Business Solutions. The High Court granted all 5 accused persons self-recognizance bail after pleading not guilty to all counts.
The 4 others are former head of IT department Caleb Kweku Afaglo, former OBS project manager John Hagen Mensah, and Juliet Hassana Kramer of IT company Perfect Business Systems, as well as Peter Haibor, the former general counsel of SNIT. The charges include conspiracy to willfully cause financial loss to the state, willfully causing financial loss to the state, defrauding by false pretense, contravention of Public Procurement Act, possession of forged document, authoring forged document, among others. In court on Tuesday, when the 29 counts were read to the 5 accused persons, they all pleaded not guilty. The former head of IT department, Caleb Afaglo, who was appointed in 2015, is alleged not to hold the right qualifications, hence charged with possession of forged document and authoring forged document. He was earlier indicted by the management of the trust over suspicions that his bachelor's, master's and doctorate degrees were fake. The initial cost of the operating business suit, OBS software procured to automate processes at SNIT, was $34 million when it was awarded to Perfect Business Systems and Silver Lake Consortium in 2012. But this later shot up to $72 million. Attorney General Gloria Ekufu told the court these individuals played several roles leading to a financial loss to the state. Gloria Ekufu spoke to the media after proceedings.
They have been arraigned for causing these losses, and that would include conspiracy, several heads of causing financial loss to the state. That will include offenses contrary to the Procurement Act. And for the 4th accused person, he also gained admission as SNIT based on qualifications and certificates in his possession, which he didn't really possess.
The case has been adjourned to October 17, thus after the 2017-2018 legal break.
Now, the National Democratic Congress is calling for the proper management of the final resting place of the late President John Evans Atta Mills at Asumdue Park. General Secretary of the party, John Esiedun Ketia, says the NDC's failure to put in place proper management system before leaving power should not leave the facility unattended to.
On July 24, 2012, Ghana lost its sitting president, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. A place was prepared as his final resting place, Asomdue Park, couched out of his penchant for peace. 6 years on, the site to be preserved as a monument in the country's history is desecrated. These pictures remind us so much of some of the scenes during the funeral, which attracted a lot of dignitaries in and outside Ghana. And if you came here some few years back, then of course you bear witness with me that this entire stretch was covered with pictures that told us a lot more about the funeral. But as you can see, the pictures have fallen and no one knows the fate of the remaining pictures. It is not clear when these pictures fell off, but from all indications, it is clear they have been left unattended to for a long period. Our attention was drawn to this electrical box, which we are told supplies electricity for the entire facility. With naked cables, it poses danger to visitors. These metal boxes, we are told, are part of the creations here, but as it stands now, they no longer add any value to the park. Some have collapsed and others rusty. According to the original plan, these uncompleted buildings next to the park are supposed to serve as a library for tourists, but squatters have taken over. Like it's done every year, leadership of the opposition National Democratic Congress, the party under which the late president served, visited the park and expressed their disappointment about the poor management of the park.
We ought to take a decision and find some management to handle this place the same way as the Nkrumah Memorial Park has its management. Immediately after the place was constructed and after the burial of the old professor, the national security took over, and I remember the national security was managing it. I'm not sure any proper structures were put in place for sustainable management. And so when Bavlo Latte left the scene, I'm sure that was where the problems began. Nana Akufo-Addo came to power just less than 2 years ago. And if they inherited a management structure, I don't think they would have abolished it. So it boils down to, the rush with which we put the place together and the fact that we couldn't put in place a management structure to handle it after the barrier.
He is of the view the park should be well packaged as a monumental site to attract people in and outside Ghana, an avenue the country can use to generate revenue. Kwabna Edu Jemfi, TV3.
Kwabna Edu Jemfi there with that report. Now, brother of late President Atta Mills, Samuel Atta Mills, has expressed regret over the resting place of the former president, which he said is in disarray. He was sad no government official was available at the Asomdue Park to even say a word of prayer to commemorate 6 years of the demise of the late president.
It was maybe about 3 or 4 weeks to his anniversary. That was when they took some people out there to clean it up. But most of the time throughout the year, the place is neglected. And is this a country worth dying for? Somebody who was a head of state, you go and bury him out there, and then you leave the place like that? I don't know.
Samuel Atta Mills, who is also the MP for Commander Edina Egwafu Ebrim, said it is not worth dying for the country considering the way his brother's resting place has been desecrated.
When it comes to moving the body or not, I don't think that would be a decision on my own. But I will leave it to the powers that be, and we will see what happens. Look, a head of state, apart from being the head of state, he was a professor. He had worked tirelessly for this country. The least we could do is to have somebody maintaining the place where he's buried. That is the least we could do. The family cannot go and take over that place because it's owned by the government, and I think Parks and Gardens is the one that is supposed to be in charge of it. So at least let's make sure we maintain that place.
MPs on the floor also commented on the need to put the Asomdwe Park into good shape.
I had the privilege of visiting the museum that had been built in the United States in memory of J.F. Kennedy. And Mr. Speaker, you'll be taken aback. Even the pen he wrote with, it's in there as a way of promoting tourism and also instilling in our children the history of the United States. I believe we should do same.
The Asomdwe Park, we should keep it well. Anybody driving through Virginia in the United States, Arlington Park, the American system, you would know. Mr. Speaker, let me add this. I recall that when the late Alhaji Aliu Mahama passed on, and we were again in a dilemma how to see him off, one of the major decisions of the family was to see him buried at Asomdwe Park until the family insisted that they wanted Muslim values and customs respected.
While still in Parliament, the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Elizabeth Afolikwe, says there is a package for fisher folks who will be affected by the ban on fishing between August and September. She said portion of profits realized from the sale of premix fuel has been set aside for distribution to fisher folk to lessen the severity of the economic impact from the expected ban.
The minister, in a statement on the floor of Parliament, gave reasons why they needed to close the fishing season in August.
We believe that as a government, it is at this time that we have to save our stocks. Now, Mr. Speaker, we don't have the popular erefua anymore. Now we don't have the fish that we call the poor man's fish. The money, the kankama, we don't have them anymore, the sardinelles. Mr. Speaker, we are in July. July is also part of the peak season. But at this time that it is expected that fishermen will harvest a lot of fish. Where's the fish?
There were divided views on the floor.
Nobody disputes the fact that there is the need to do something about how we increase our ability to catch more fish. But to do it in a time when, energy production is on the increase and has expanded to several areas of our country, we cannot use the low value factor anymore.
It's a decision that is going to be to the benefit of the fisher folks. And my honorable member, the former mayor, made a point, and I want to talk about it. If we are in festival, I want to believe that it's the period that we even go off work and then concentrate on our festivity.
Meanwhile, Parliament has adopted a concession agreement between government and consortium of investors led by the Manila Electric Company for private sector participation in ECG, but that was not without some disagreements.
We have been told 51%. Who owns the 49%? What is the value of ECG assets? Who valued it when? We need to know. We just can't give you a concession and then you come and run over Electricity Company of Ghana. So these are my fundamental difficulties. There is a few
companies dropped out mostly because some of them could not accept majority Ghanaian ownership of the project. And am I here hearing that some are not happy because of majority ownership in this project? Is that a complaint I hear? We have raised it from 20% to 51%, and that is a yeoman's job.
A scores of customers of the Shashi branch of the Midland Savings and Loans besieged the company's premises to withdraw their savings the first day the company opened its banking halls for business after a video of a policeman assaulting a customer of the company emerged on social media. The customers affirm they are withdrawing to sympathize with the woman brutalized by the police officer.
The customers pitched camp at the Shashi branch of the company by 7 a.m. to withdraw their savings, although the company opens at 8:30 a.m. for normal business. At about 3:20 Tuesday afternoon, when the news team visited the premises, the number of customers who came to withdraw their monies had dwindled, but the few left spoke with the news team.
The people that have been coming for our money, they've stopped. I don't know where they will come and start again, so I need to withdraw all the money until they have started working.
Anytime I say me close my account, savings and losing and boame. I just say me save so much in the affair the any aba. Me nyama say me miss kana network no mo kan wasama obi aba be is kan time so me ba be me there. Akọ because ye nim dey be see echi. Ebi answer dan no madam be ba omo buru na yi. Ha wa fa wa ye. Anytime me ba be me nim dey ba ba to me wa adachi.
However, some were not served because the financial institution has still not resolved its network problem. They have since been asked to come on Wednesday, July 25. Those who were fortunate to have been served could not access the amount they requested.
They said they are having a network challenging, so they can't give us all the money. And that Thursday, they give me 500 cedis, and they told me I should go and come. And I said, oh, my money is there, more than the 2,000 that I wrote. So it's not that I'm withdrawing all my money. So they should just give me, I'm going to use the money to do something. And they told me I should go and come. The next day I came. They didn't give me that money till today that I'm here. They only give me 500 cedis out of 1,005.
Gloria Ewuku came to the banking hall to close her account, but later had to rescind her decision.
Before you get to the table, they will advise you, they will cancel you if you want to withdraw all your money. So that has cooled me down.
A management member of Midland Savings and Loans, Albert Nyakun, who spoke to the news team off camera, said the activities of the institution have been affected both locally and internationally, as most clients have expressed preparedness to close their accounts. He said the bank on Tuesday did not record any deposit, but requests to withdraw, eventually crippling the activities.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has scaled up reforms following recent developments in the financial sector. Describing last week's incident with Midland Savings and Loans as regrettable, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, assured the banking public that it is working at sanitizing the sector.
This is a very important issue. We all regret very much what happened over the weekend. It shouldn't have happened. Violence is certainly not the way to go. But we recognize that we have some issues in the specialized deposit-taking institution sector. The government is looking at the Ghana Deposit Insurance Corporation to provide insurance for small savers such that when you have difficulties with the institutions there, they can fall on the deposit insurance for cover. We are looking at a reform for that segment of SDIs, looking at ways in which we can strengthen them and help them to operate more efficiently in order to protect depositors.
In reaction to Belstar Capital Limited's claim that it did not acquire ADB shares with emergency liquidity support from the central bank, the governor explained that Belstar is being economical with the truth.
And I think that is very unfortunate because, as I said, the press release was very clear. You know, Belstar and Starmount could have bought all their shares directly, but they chose to buy some directly and went behind SIC and EDC to buy additional shares. Why didn't they buy all the shares directly? It's very clear that they were up to something. Secondly, liquidity support, right? Liquidity support are given to banks that are in tight situation. You can have
deposits of $1 billion, but you become illiquid because those deposits have been used to do other things that they are not supposed to do. And that is why it's very easy to say that it is my liquidity support that you used to finance those purchases, because the bank was illiquid.
Meanwhile, the regulator expects 15 banks to raise the required 400 million cedis minimum capital by December. GN Bank, Sahel Sahara, and Premium Bank have declared their intention to merge.
Let's do some foreign news. Now, voting is underway in Pakistan, where Pakistanis have headed to the polls amid heavy security, with the former party of former cricket star Imran Khan pitted in a hotly contested election against that of jailed former Premier Nawaz Sharif. Police and military personnel were out in force at polling stations across the country, with security officials flying surveillance drones in troubled northwest city of Peshawar. Long lines of voters queued in the major cities of Karachi, Quetta, and Peshawar. Well, that's it for the news for this morning. New Day returns shortly after this break.
It's a lovely Wednesday morning. Let's check out what's on the front pages of the dailies. The Daily Statement this morning reports that the MPA suspended Union Oil, others for tax evasion. And the screaming headline says, we have relieved poor Ghanaians by prudent initiatives, policies, and GEC Council to deal with errant teachers. Okay, so those are the front page stories of the Daily Statement. The Ghanaian Times this morning says the MPA descends on OMC's BDCs, 8 oil marketing companies hot, slapped with suspension for 11 million Ghana cedis tax evasion. President is talking about some traditional areas to support creation of new regions. And court grants Ernest Thompson 4 others bail after being charged with 29 counts of causing financial loss to the state. On to our next, the Daily Graphic. It comes with a towering photograph of Mr. Ernest Thompson, former Director General of the SNIT. And it says Ernest Thompson, 4 others charged for causing $14.8 million financial loss to the state. And it comes with a photograph of the IGP. It says, we will purge service of miscreants, according to the Inspector General. Don't go beyond 3 babies. The National Population Council warns couples. How? We'll tell you more about that later. On to our next daily for this morning. The Herald says why Professor Mensah Bonsu rejected EC top job. It comes with a photograph of perhaps the 2 most popular women in Ghana at this point. Jean Mensah, who's been nominated to become the Electoral Commissioner, and Professor Mensah Bonsu was expected by many people to be there. And Unibank demands fair hearing from Bank of Ghana and government. And Opuni's lawyer grills hired prosecution witness, says he lacks credibility. The story travels. We'll tell you more later. The Finder newspaper for this morning says free SHS boarding cost for parents and pre-quality private SHS to participate, ISODEC suggests. And free SHS could be targeted instead of wholesale Oforiata. I thought that was the conversation before the project started. Are we going back to the initial conversation? We'll have more conversation about that. MPA, C-Board, tussle over tax evasion, and Ernest Thompson, 4 others plead not guilty. Pay journalists well to curb influence. Cabral Blay Amiher, ambassador, is a former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. That's what he's saying there. Today, newspaper, Truth and Enlightenment, says ex-NIT boss, 4 others charged. And NGOs fight lands minister over responsible mining in Etiwa Forest statement. Mahama, where is the 74.88 million euros as Brazilians chase government for funds covering Circle Dubai interchange? Ex-Ye boss tipped to win GT NDC Youth Organizer post. Okay, so we'll get into more detail. Maybe the last one for this morning. The Gold Street Business says NPA suspends 8 BDCs, OMCs for tax evasion. And financial sector signals turnaround, according to the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Addison. And NIC to ready adopt recapitalization strategies for Bank of Ghana. Those are your dailies for this morning as we make progress on the show. Nice.
Johnny, thank you for giving us the headlines.
How would you feel if you were told to have just 3 children?
I think, well, I mean, I understand where the National Population Council is coming from, where we are having a rapid growth in, you know, our population concerning the resources that are available. When it comes to landmass, we talk about landmass, but remember, that's just space. But where we have arable lands and actually good lands that people can develop and live in with a family, I think as of now, Ghana can only support 3 per family. Of course, it will come with concerns where we're told Christians will say, you know, multiply and be fruitful, yes, so, and subdue the earth, and so we need the numbers. But I mean, in our struggling economy and maybe the way we're going, I think they're saying it's in a good light, and so it's up to us to also look at how best we can go about it to be able to, you know, sustain what we have and also add on for the future generations to come and meet something, because it would be very unfortunate if we, you know, overpopulate the country and we don't have them benefiting
on the contrary. See, when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta appeared in Parliament to do the media review, prior to that, there's been a lot of talk about widening the tax net, getting the informal sector to contribute and all of that. So the market women are paying their tolls, and you find a few others, maybe drivers, commercial drivers in there. I didn't hear anything about carpenters. I didn't hear anything about masons, plumbers, and in fact, today, there are carpenters and masons who take 60, 80 cedis daily. Okay, they earn more than some of us in suit and tie. Right. So all those monies that they earn are tax-free. Meanwhile, when the National Population Council does the census, it counts all of them as part of the people living in Ghana, which is why they say we are 29.6, and they're supposed to make provision for all of them. Right. So no contribution, no chop. These guys, the painters, the plumbers, the carpenters who take away all their money tax-free, are actually also getting from us. Not so long ago, the Population Council says there's a dependency rate of 27.73, okay, to 73. Right. Means that 27% of us are taking care of 73 of the population. This includes the carpenters, the mason, and everybody else. I didn't hear the finance minister talking about how to rope those people in. Exactly. I'm not hearing how the Population Council is looking at widening, helping the government to widen the tax net so that we can collect taxes from these people and help.
Population Council will not be responsible for that because they're giving you know, the statistics. It's up to government to make sure we include them.
The Population Council is now telling us not to have children. Now, I am
have more than 3.
Yes, but I'm saying, look, I am a gun, for example. Now, you know that for gas, the names are already there. There is Papo, there is Akwe, there is Ado, then there's Saka. No, it's not. But you see, the names are there, and there's a reason the names are there. So that if you're saying that somebody should have just Papo, maybe Adukwe and Akwe, all the rest are gone. And my grandmother made an analogy that, look, if we hadn't had Saka, how would Saka have had Alote so that you would have been born?
Right.
I think that we want to go the Chinese way. But then we need to look at all the other aspects.
Exactly.
Tax everybody. Get everybody to pay tax. Look,
I'm not National Population Council this morning.
See, the musicians are musicians who get paid over the counter. Right. Who will later run and come and say, build entertainment hubs for us to have our shows. They have not contributed, yet they want me to use my income tax to pay for those things so they can go and have shows, so they can be smoking shisha and drinking alcohol. It will never happen.
On the lighter side, I don't know. The 3 kids stuff the MPC is talking about. Is Johnny getting worried because of where he is at the moment?
I think so. Well, I want to believe that because he wants to, you know, make his grandmother happy. He has to give birth to Saka to get Alote and continue the family tradition.
But you see,
I mean, I just think that the National Population Council, again, is coming from a good place where they're saying with what we have currently, this may be a solution. However, I think other institutions would have to look at what they can also do to make sure that if we decide to expand the population, how best can we support support with the resources that are available. Of course, that discussion has to be had.
but
Because I don't see this really working because of tradition, because of our cultural standards, where people are being pushed to want to have more children to at least please the family, or also in some communities where you need the numbers to go do the farming.
My late father was a builder. My late father was a builder. There's a plot of land that we bought, and I just wanted to do a semi-detached house. He says, no, we're growing. You will have children, grandchildren. Why don't you do a 3-story? Right. So he insisted, he drew a plan, we got a permit, and we started a 3-story. I think that by and large, what everybody is doing is to get a piece of land somewhere, do a semi-detached, and keep it. Right. So where we're developing, and these are recommendations I expect the National Population Council to be talking about, that if somebody buys a 70 by 100 plot of land, is the person going to do a semi-detached, make those, but to say that people cannot have children beyond 3 and that you're pushing for a policy that will actually punish people for having more children, do you control what activities people do in their bedroom?
You don't control it, but they can help. That's why we have family planning.
Okay, then again, we need to take a look at what the council is saying. I mean, if indeed growing by 2.5% is a threat, it is. For me, I think that whatever planning we're having now, we should input this so that we know where we're going. Now, if the council is just saying this, the finance minister isn't aware, and so we're planning ahead, and yet this is not taken care of. Then
we have a big issue.
We might be advertising in the bush. But talking about the finance of Johnny, I think I listened to him yesterday. I think that he's made a lot of sense. I mean, accepting and agreeing that those who can pay for SS should go ahead and pay.
Does the Minister for Education agree?
Well, this is Mr. Kenoforiata.
Does the President agree?
The man whose our wallet is in his pocket. He holds our wallet. He says that. He thinks, and for me, he conceding that indeed government is struggling to fund free senior high school is an honest thing for me.
You know why I don't think that it ends the matter there. You remember Professor Jane Nana-Opoku-Agyeman and the President of the Republic. Right. When the President said we can do it, Professor Jane Nana-Opoku-Agyeman says, from a professional point of view, I don't think it is possible. Right. You remember that? Yeah. Right. So now the finance minister is saying, look, we got it wrong in the first instance. Let's take our time and do it this way. I'm asking, does the education minister and the president agree?
I think everyone knows. I think everyone knows that's the truth.
So this is the man who
to put his face out there
sits in cabinet and consult with both the education minister, the presidency. He holds the wallet, and so he knows how much is in that wallet. He is saying that, look, let us go back, those who can pay. For me, it is a lot of common sense. And there's a proverb, but a word to the wise.
It's enough.
Anyway, it's time for us to run.
Finally, I think also that, look, if sometimes, and this is what I say it's the politician's dream and the taxpayer's burden. Eventually, it has come back to us. When the senior high school policy started, we sat around this table and we said that, look, we have infrastructural deficit. We have, even the teachers, we had deficit. We had teachers who had been given financial clearance and had not been employed. All those issues were raised. Dining halls becoming classrooms, we raised those issues. All those issues were ignored. Suddenly, we're coming back to the same thing. And I think it's unfair. It's so unfair to us. And on that score, Mr. Finance Minister, good morning to you. While you agree that we have a problem, and that we need to look at the free SHS again, funding it and making people pay. Can we also look at getting masons, plumbers, carpenters, and all those people who get money more than those of us in suit and tie, tax-free, to start paying tax? Can you get it?
I'm sure he will.
Good morning.
But anyway, let's step out to Western Region, Takoradi, to run. I'm asking your opinion on the fact that the EC chairperson has been named, and there have been varying views concerning this. But what is your view on that? Do you agree with who the president has named as the next chairperson for the Electoral Commission? Let's see what you think.
President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has nominated 4 persons to fill 4 top positions at the Electoral Commission. Now, all these 4 individuals that the president has nominated have distinguished themselves so well in their various fields of endeavor. But one nomination by the president that is causing a lot of anxiety and anxiousness among political parties is that of the executive director of the distinguished public policy think tank, the Institute of Economic Affairs, the IEA, Mrs. Jane Adekwe Mensah. Her competencies are not in doubt. But if you look at the drama surrounding the very seat that she is to occupy, this morning on Daily Rant, we want to find out whether she will have the space and mind to work effectively. This is your Daily Rant.
I think across the country, her nomination, it has been accepted by large masses of the Ghanaian people. So when you're free mind there, Juma, and I believe your experienced men and women at the Electoral Commissioner, they are going to work with her and normal because of kama. I think the woman only so novice in the election matters in this country. As a head of the Institute of Economic Affairs, he has worked with the Electoral Commission of Ghana. They have been able to develop a nice bill, political party funding bill, and other electoral reforms in Ghana. You need Libya, you need Iraq, and you need Afghanistan. You are Ghana. Ghana, your democracy, you need United States of America, you need UK, Australia, and NAM level. Into a we are seeing us over here free tete. Ubia no the Ghana aye example. And into a Ghana man penibi a free akonya so a. Na other countries elections a ne amano ko. Hwe John Dramani Mahama wakwa okoso bibia de dane kwam. And NAM good example I set to Ghana anti and amana banesa. Na yetetia na aban appoint electoral commissioner. Na aban no afi power. Na aban foforo aba no wafa wagadre kana na kwan bi so de yi nipa na firo. No appoint nipa ayi and NAM ne sunti at a point in time. And this for your boycott to ayi program. Let's all confirm nipa we ba. Na the deputies who confirm akoba now at a point in time. Say media houses FN and ni comments are all yen ni submissions na no bias against NDC. Na confirm sankrofo we ba say electoral commission omo na ebe man affairs or na NDC yet oni ehwe and this mean can say Ghana for nyina accept woman. If you are not Ghana for on say accession of Ghanaians are a MPP for. When the president sacked the commissioner of the Electoral Commission and the 2 other deputies per the recommendation of the committee, the NDC in the night the next day decided they are going to organize a demonstration, which was not good. And I said it the last time that they were creating unnecessary tension. We should be very careful. We are deep in our democracy. I think that the president has followed the due procedure as it has been enshrined in the Constitution of Ghana, Article 146 and other relevant provisions. So what is more important now is for us to come together as a nation. To me, the 4 people that the president just appointed, they are people of integrity. To me, I sometimes don't want to use competency, but I talk about integrity. You see, when we appoint people want to talk about political lineage and others. But we appoint people to Supreme Court and they have done politics. But when they go to the Supreme Court, they don't actually do anything untoward. They go by the law. If you look at the processes that are ongoing, MPP is at the verge of rigging the 2020 elections.
What do you have to show?
If you look at the trend, one, if you look at this Ghana card thing, in the first place, they try to negate the integrity of our voter ID card. Secondly, if you look at the processes that they want to use to, register the Ghana card, how can you say you want to register Ghana card, you want to use only passports and birth certificates, when you really know that in Ghana here, it is only a few that have birth certificates. If you go to certain areas, a place like Ateku, especially in the northern regions of Ghana, there are a chunk of people who do not have, passports and birth certificates. It means you want to disenfranchise them. Then in the third one too, you can see that the sacking of the electoral commissioner and her 2 deputies, and the appointment of these 4 people that the MPP government is bringing in clearly shows that they have something in their sleeves.
So MPP is planning to rig. That's his mind. Is that the case?
You see, I want to say something if you look at the fourth Republican dispensation, one political party that have actually contributed a lot for the reforms at the Electoral Commission is the MPP. The last election that we used the biometric is MPP. 2012, 2016 is the MPP. So under no circumstance that as MPP would thwart the electoral process in Ghana, no.
If you are Mrs. Jane Mensah and given the circumstances around the Electoral Commission seat, would you have accepted this challenge?
Why not? Leadership comes and solve the challenge. The challenge is that we are
considering how your predecessor went.
Oh, it's about teamwork. You see, I've said something. Leadership is about teamwork. Now we are having 7 commissioners now. Then there are other officers at the national headquarters, and then we have district directors and others. Indeed, if you look at the appointment that the president just issued, one of them, the man, Mr. Tete, he has been a district director, a regional director, a very solid person. He knows the in and out of the Ghana Electoral Commission. They have an agenda. We talk about this Ghana card thing, they say no. We talk about this, how do you call it, passport and birth certificate thing, they say no. We talk about the Electoral Commission, then they have removed. We say no, it is going to bring danger into our country. They say no. Everything you say, they say no, because they have an agenda. This government has lost its credibility. Now, if you go to Aboseka and other places, business people are crying because of that. Ghanaians have rejected them. It is because of the rejection that they are trying to manipulate things so that in 2020 they can do their own thing. We NDC, we have not accepted Jane Nana or whatever. Me, I don't even know her well. We have not accepted her. The NDC is going to make sure that the right thing is done. You understand?
And the right thing means?
The right thing means that the right person who has been, appointed to lead the Electoral Commission is brought back to do her work.
But there are problems around her.
There are no problems around her. It is human being that created the problems. You understand? They are only trying to push it aside so that they can do their own thing. But the NDC will not accept this. If MPP think they can bulldoze their way through, we will resist it with our last drop of blood. We will resist it. It can never happen. You see the way I'm putting it? We will resist it. We are not afraid of them. It is today that NDC has changed certain things. Because of the change that has come, they think they have a free fall. They can dive, they can fall, they can sweep anyhow they want.
So you resist it, and then what?
We will resist it. What happens next, I don't know. But we will resist it.
The other divide believes that there are problems.
No, no, they are doing normal politics. It's normal politics. Yeah, they don't have. You see, I've said that. You have appointed the wrong person. You say it is right. We should accept her. How can we accept her?
But what makes her wrong?
She's affiliated to a political party, the MPP. So we will not accept her.
Do you know that for a fact?
I know that for a fact, based on her activities. She's affiliated to the MPP. So we will not accept her.
But there's freedom of association.
Freedom of association. So you go and bring your opponent to go and be a judge in a match between you and your opponent.
But are you not putting the horse before the cart? Why don't you allow her to finish working so you can have a good assessment of her?
She cannot work. That is it. We will resist it.
He says they will resist it.
The NDC cannot. The NDC is not Ghana. This conjunction, as I said earlier on and talking, we have a constitutional regime. If the NDC believes that what is happening is against the constitution of Ghana, we have the law courts there. They should go there. What is more important is that let us all. You see, there's a strategy, and today I will tell you the strategy. The strategy is that let us create unnecessary tension in the nation. When we create unnecessary tension, certain strategic investors that will come and push the government agenda of industrialization, they will not get it. When you were making the appointment, you had to think before doing it. I've told you the strategy is not about the election. Let us create unnecessary tension. Investors will not be coming. But I want to say that we, as the MPP, as a political party, under no circumstance, will rig elections in Ghana. If you look at the trend, it is a rigging plan. Even to the extent that people who are manning the affairs of Ghana births and death certificates, they have been transferred in a very bizarre manner. All of a sudden, you'll be there. They say, "Oh, go." Then they go and they appoint somebody who is their own. You understand? That is one. And quite apart from that, because they know that it is through the birth and death certificate that you can use to get the Ghana card. So, and then secondly, Ghana card has been negated. So that they will one day get up and say, oh, even the voter registration card, what we did, the biometric one we did previously, is not the best. So let us discard it. And then based on the Ghana card to create new ones. That is where the real problem will begin. So we will not allow the real problem to start before we talk. That is the more reason why I'm saying
this has got nothing to do with the nomination of Mrs. Jane Mensah.
She is brought there. Jane Mensah is brought there to come and do their bidding.
But if for instance,
as part of the rigging process.
For instance, if the election result for Kwesimintim is 10,000 and at the polling station it is counted as 10,000, what can Mrs. Jane Mensah do?
Eric, are you not in this country? Where in 2004, you go to a polling station, you go and wait. Materials will not arrive. Then they will be telling you different stories. 2004, we were into politics. You understand? That is one. And then secondly, there are certain arrangements at the electoral commission that parties will meet to agree on. If you have such a person there, you will never come to an agreement. They will, in the end, because they will tell you time is running out. They will take a decision that will not be in favor of you, but you will be forced to accept it.
You and there's that point that you don't want to get.
We don't even want that point to come. So we will not allow her nomination. We will resist it.
You see, what I'm saying and what he's talking about is I'm very disappointed. But what we need to look at, as I've said, the MPP want to formalize the system. People are talking about innovative ways of getting more taxes, bringing those in the informal sector on board. We can do that when we have a national card. You see, we should not be thinking of elections. And you see, anything that the government does is election. Election is about development of the country. If we are able to register, if we're able to register the number of the Ghanaian people, and then we know the number of Ghanaians, we'll be able to have a lot of things. Please let me proceed.
Well, the coming days promise to be interesting. I mean, if you look at the way the conversation is going, it looks like probably we are on a turbulent path. This has been your daily run with me, Eric Yawade. Thank you so much.
We will resist it.
Right, and the Ghanaian Times talks about oil industry. 8 oil marketing companies are hot. That's the Times. The Finder is on this Free Senior High School. The debates continue. We're told that boarding cost for parents. That's ISODEC suggesting that parents should take over boarding costs. Also on the Finder, Free Senior High School could be targeted instead of wholesale. The finance minister is talking them. Daily Graphic carries the SNIT story. Ernest Thompson, 4 others charged $14.8 million. That's how much financial loss the AG is saying the cost to the state. We will not shield staff complicit in UT Capital Bank's collapse. That's the BNFT. And then the guide, Daily Guide, has the SNIT boss story and the issue of the Electoral Commission. My guests, 2 of them this morning, Member of Parliament for the Inswam Adwejiri constituency, is a member of the NPP, Honorable Frank Anodompre is here. Good morning.
Hi, Bryce.
Hope you're doing great.
Well, it's a wonderful morning. It's good to see you as always.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
and member of the NDC's team, Mr. Brahma Malibai Sosfia. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
Very well.
And thanks for coming. Now, this morning, the Free Senior High School is a big one, but let's take a look at this story quickly before. The EC, on page 12 of the Times this morning, a story here suggesting that Jane Mensah's nomination as EC chair could suffer legal hurdles. That's legal practitioner Mr. Kpebu talking here. The nomination of the EC chairperson could suffer legal hurdles if the AG has already been served with an injunction against the process. Legal practitioner Martin Pebu has stated, and that's the key thing. He said, if he or she, that's the AG, is being served with the injunction. Now, Mr. Pebu said all parties would have to stay their hand until the court determines the case only if the AG was served with the injunction. The dominant principle, he says, is that when the attention of the person you want to injunct is served, the processes could be put on hold until the court makes a determination. Now, that's Mr. Martin Pebu there talking. I also want us to take a look at another story also with the same EC issue, and it has to do with the NDC's case with the EC nomination, and the fact that CDD is suggesting that the NDC should petition the Council of State if they can prove their claim that the nominee for the post of Electoral Commission Chair is politically tainted. Dr. Kudjo Asante of CDD said that we should not take the opportunity that the Council of State offers lightly, because constitutionally that is the only body now that can put any restraint or checks on the discretion of the president. So these are the two issues I quickly want to ask to touch. But Honorable Domprey, let me get you to find out a legal practitioner suggesting that the nomination could suffer a legal hurdle if the AG is being served with the injunction perhaps before the nomination was done. Is it possible this has come to the attention of the Attorney General?
Well, good morning to your viewers, particularly my constituents in Salma Dweji. I think that this matter, ever since it got out of the public domain, it's been running for some time now. And I recall vividly that I was one of the petitioners who had petitioned the president, then President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, on matters relative the Shraj. And eventually he went through all the due process, establishment of a prima facie, relative Article 146 of the Constitution. I mean, ultimately, the Shraj was relieved of her post. Right. So I see that of the EC boards in a similar light. You know, a petition was filed, it went to the president, it went through all the processes. And the president, you know, had done what he has to do. So if there are people who still have strong reservations, I've heard our colleagues in the minority making all manner of allegations against the nominee. Right. And therefore, it's just fair for us to listen to them if they have significant grounds based on which they are making these assertions and allegations. Then they direct it to the appropriate court. But as a country, I think that we also need to understand that all of us have agreed to work according to a democratic rule, you know, and it is guided by precedents, law, and the Constitution. So if for some reason somebody has a strong reason and feels that we have gone beyond the powers of the law, then the person will have to direct the consent to the appropriate court. From where I sit, I don't see anything wrong with what the president has done. I do not
legally,
see.
You don't agree that there could be any legal...
With my limited... As for the legal interpretation, we leave it to the court. Okay. And it's the court that has the ultimate powers to determine as to whether they've gone beyond the powers of the law or not. So that one interpretation of the law is for the court to determine. So where they have alleging, you know, the law says they will have to prove it. Right. So let them direct it to the appropriate court. I think that we've set the process in motion. All of us need to respect it. We need to avoid the pedestrian argument, because if you're not careful, we create a certain picture before even granted that she's given the nod, even before she assumes office and start working. That would not be too good for all of us. I know her quite well. From Legon, I know her quite well. I know what she's done for the IEA. But I have no reason to doubt what they are saying. But if they have reservations against her, I think that is just fair for us to listen to them. It's not a matter that we should drag overly.
Okay.
Yes, because the law is clear.
I'm grateful.
The mandate of the president is clear. The mandate of the Council of State is clear, and there is no ambiguity whatsoever.
I'm grateful. Mr. Amalba, so the two key things we're looking at is now, one, if the AG was served the suit, the injunction, the nomination could suffer what Mr. Kpebu says legal hurdles. The CDD is saying that if the minority has any issues with the nomination, the Council of State is the right place to go.
Let me start by saying good morning to your viewers. I must say that the arguments put forward by my learned friend, Martin Kpebu, who also happens to be my classmate, is not pedestrian, as Anodompre was suggesting.
Well, he didn't mention his name. He just
said people are making pedestrian arguments.
All right, but he didn't mention Mr.
Now, don't also forget that you, Bright, prefixed your questions based on what Martin Kpebu said. So my learned friend Martin Kpebu is not engaged in pedestrian arguments. The president is a lawyer. His executive secretary is a lawyer. The rule of thumb is that when you are served with court processes, particularly an injunctive process, you stay your hands off. This president knows that. Never mind that we are being told that you cannot stop the president from
performing his constitutional duty.
Exactly.
Is that not it?
I am wait. I'm saying that never mind that is true. But you must respect court processes for a buo emma court.
How?
I'm coming. You are rushing me.
Okay.
Now, if there's an injunction on you because of the respect that you have for the court, you appear before the court and tell the court to dismiss it. You don't sit in your house, turn yourself into a judge, a prosecutor, look at the process. As for me, I know that this will not work. So as for me, I'll throw it away. Rule of law. We are not ruled by men. Never mind, Akufo-Addo is a strong man. But we are ruled by law. What the president did when the process was served on the Attorney General was a complete abuse of his power.
I see.
Never mind that his cousin is a Chief Justice. But the point is that once, it's a rule of thumb everywhere, under the common law countries, everywhere. Once you are served with court processes, and indeed, another rule of thumb, I want to even show you something which you may think that logically or in some way it is sensible. This morning, you can be served the court process to come to court this morning. It is not for you to go the following day and say that, oh, when I was served, I was doing something. No. Go, but tell the court that you have been short-served. And the court will say that, oh, okay, we'll give you 3 days to respond. It is not for you. For God's sake, it's not for the president to determine, I know that for me, my powers cannot be. Once you have been served, no matter how frivolous.
Explain this.
The processor, give respect to the court.
Explain this to our viewers. This issue of the president cannot be stopped from his constitutionally mandated duties, and this issue of court injunction, how does it work in law?
The one that makes that pronouncement is the court. It is a saying we all say, but you don't have power. You don't have power. He doesn't have power to come to that conclusion that you cannot stop the president from exercising his constitutional duty. Let those who have been sanctioned or those who have been given the power to say those things, say those things. So you appear before the court and then let the court tell you that or say that, bring the matter to rest, say, no, you cannot stop the president from exercising his functions. So indeed, we found similar cases in court. where some people send President Mahama to court, even about this Charlotte Osei's appointment, you remember? And the court said you cannot stop the president from performing his constitutional...
So the AG should have gone to court. That's your suggestion?
Indeed. What they should have done, knowing very well that they talked to the Chief Justice, the AG can talk to the Chief Justice, was to ask for a short date, quickly. They should quickly call the case and panel judges to deal with the matter. If they so think that they so think that the appointment is so necessary, they could have filed for an abridgment of time for the matter to be heard and disposed of. So let's be careful. Let's not allow these things to happen. It is wrong for the president himself not to be respecting our highest court.
Before you touch on the CDD, let me get Honorable Dompe to come in. Yes, I think you want to react to what he just said. He says it is entirely wrong.
Well, that is his opinion. I must say that it is his opinion, and I respect his opinion. But as he rightly said, the president is a lawyer of repute. Asante Bediatu, who is the president's executive secretary, is also a lawyer of repute, and so he should keep his counsel to himself. I am saying that the president has not erred. From my understanding. He has his opinion. Let him keep his opinion. And he's also right to express him. But I'm saying that it is the court, okay? No matter how right or wrong your opinion may seem to appear, it is the court that still has that sanctity of powers to pronounce on such matters. And unless the court pronounces, you cannot sit in a studio and say that the president is wrong. That is your opinion. But your opinion is not law. Because you're not premising it on, you're not citing any legal case to back what you are saying. You're just saying that the AG should have acted in a manner and you know, preferring a certain action that
he mentioned that in law, when an injunction is served, as long as, like what Mr. Martin Pebu said, once it is served you, whatever processes has to be stopped until.
That's what he said. I know is that the president respects the Constitution. He respects due process, and I think it's too early for us to begin to draw judgment and say that. And it's a very harsh comment he made by saying that the president is not respecting the due process. That is his opinion. From where I sit, the president has not erred, and let's leave the court to make pronouncement on that.
So, Mr. Malba, if the president has erred, can someone go to court on this?
Yes, those who are the applicants in this matter.
Will you go to court?
No, I'm saying those who are the applicants.
It's only the applicants who can.
Who can?
Okay, those who filed that injunction.
Who filed the injunction.
Only those who can go to court.
Those, in fact, the Constitution also allows any Ghanaian who thinks that a law is breached to go to court. But in this case, because
would you go?
Me going to court?
Yeah, on this.
About this president?
About this issue of nomination when there's an injunction.
I don't waste my time. See, the issue we are talking about is not whether the president is a lawyer or is not a lawyer, or whether the executive secretary is a lawyer or is not a lawyer. We are talking about separation of powers. For God's sake, this is a parliamentarian. He must know that. That the power given to those who can make those pronouncements is.
Mr. Amalba, calm down.
You see,
calm down. I don't want us to go.
No, it's a parliamentarian.
No, okay, all right.
If he should know that it's true, he should know that.
Okay,
and he knows it. He knows that there is separation of powers.
Okay, if you put it that way, then fine.
He knows.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, he knows.
Go ahead.
He's an intelligent man. He knows.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So, as a parliamentarian, he knows that there's separation of power. Indeed, the Chief Justice, if she becomes a parliamentarian, cannot say that because I was once a Chief Justice, if legal processes come to me, I can sit in my Parliament office and decide it the way I want to decide. So it doesn't lie in the mouth of the president to say that because he's a lawyer, at this moment he's not acting as a judge or a lawyer.
If anything, he has to go to court.
He has to go to court.
That's the point you're making. Okay, deal with the CDD issue. It is telling the NDC that if you have any issues, go to the Council of State.
We have reservations, and it is known. In fact, everybody knows that the NDC has problem with Jean at IEA. Everybody knows. But typical of this president, look at, I'm going to give you some examples to show. The president has a tendency of appointing people who the NDC have challenges with. For instance, Martin Amido. What he does is that he would appoint people he knows that because of the challenges that the NDC have with them, those people, in quote, will do his bidding. I've given Martin Amido.
Okay, that's your view?
Yes, that's my view. This is another one. The other one is Tiwa Adodanka. When the issue of A+ came out, and she was heard on tape coaching A+, not to say things that will bring the reputation of the government down, the NDC called for her removal. What did we say? What did we see? We saw a president who rather, promoted a lady to become the substantive person.
I see. The president has appointed, if I'm not wrong, more than 400 people. Why would you just use 3 examples to say
I'm
that?
giving you 3 examples because
is 3 examples
NDC,
enough to draw a conclusion?
Always listen to my premise. I always have a foundation. He has a tendency of appointing people who the NDC has challenges with.
And you're mentioning 3.
And I'm mentioning 3. And I'm telling you that, to also let you know that I'm fair in my submissions, persons that the NDC doesn't have problems with, we don't talk about. For instance, the governor of Bank of Ghana. The president removed our appointee, but because he brought somebody we know we have no challenges with, we've given our blessing. Have we questioned Addison? The neutrality of Addison? We've not.
Okay.
So I'm just giving you an example of that. Now CDD said that we should go to
the Council
of State. The CDD also knows that the advice of the Council of State can be taken or rejected.
Right.
They know that the Council of State is just an advisory body, and the president is not bound by that advice. So the DD cannot be telling us to be going to a place where we know that even if the Council of State advises the president can choose not to.
Can the Council of State put checks on the president's discretion?
I'm saying that
constitutionally,
no,
the Council of State can put
checks. Yeah, but they are advisory. He's not bound to take it. Every constitutional law student, constitutional laws 101 will tell you that it is an advisory body.
Okay.
And that the president is not bound
to take it.
Yes. So, is the president himself not aware that the person he's selecting or nominating has problems with the other side? Does he need to be told?
How is that a big issue to the NDC? A nominee has engaged in some conflict with the party. Why should that be an issue?
It's because the position she's going to occupy is not a position that one would say does not require her to exhibit a sense of fairness to all sides. For instance, it is not a Minister of Health position. It's not to become a Director of Ministry of Health. It is somebody who must rise above board, must be fair to all sides. Now, in her previous life, this person,
I'll get you the chance to react.
This person, in her previous life, had shown bias towards the NDC. And so now coming in, and if you agree with me that the saying that a person's reputation comes before him is true, we are apprehensive of what we know of her.
Okay.
Let her, probably that will be a later time, prove us wrong. But for now, that's the dossier we have about her.
I'm grateful. Coming, just 2 minutes, I'll take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about free senior high school.
No, but I have to speak to the CDD issue.
Okay. I thought you had to. Okay, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, you see, we need to all understand that the provisions in the law is not absolute. It has its own limitations. And so when the CDD says direct your consent to the appropriate court, is in context of the limitations we all operate with. Right. Now, let's also come to terms with the fact that the president cannot please everybody. even when the president nominated Mr. Martin Amidu, our brothers in the minority and the NDC still had a problem. Somebody who has been Attorney General in your Deputy Attorney General, once upon a time, in your government. You even had a problem with this person. You see, we cannot allow ourselves to be woodwinked by the minority into believing that anything that the president does is wrong. Look, you have to prove with evidence that indeed this woman cannot be fair. From where we sit, we don't see anything wrong with her.
Right.
And so where the president has nominated such a wonderful person, from where we sit, and you can talk to the other players in the political divide. And it's not the NDC who is only a player in this whole game. There are other political parties, there are other players, there are other civil society groups who have dealt with her. Why is it that it is only the NDC that is speaking? Is it not strange that consistently and repeated, and even in their complaints, they are being consistent. At one point, I listened to Koko Anyidahu, who at one point in time says that the lady cannot be fair. And then at another point says that she was her classmate and that she is competent to do the job. Which is which? So you see, I want to...
So the argument is that there's no doubt on her competence. The key thing from particularly the NDC is that she can't be fair.
Let me just conclude on this. You see, once upon a time, the NPP also had a problem with her at the IEA. That is on record. Okay? And I'm saying that is not significant enough for our brothers in the minority or the NDC to say that because of this. I mean, if you are working with people, obviously you have issues, you have friction with issues. Is it saying that is so significant that she cannot hold the position of an EC? An EC boss? It's not right. So we had issues with her. Well, we also boycotted the IEA once upon a time, just as our brothers in the NDC also did. So let's allow her, let's not begin to poison the system. That's what our brothers in the minority is saying. My good friend, Dafa Mekpo, member of parliament, colleague in parliament, says that they have issues and they have evidence that the nominee visits President Akufo-Addo. And then we asked that, how does that, go against her competence and ability to work as an EC boss? And they will not prove anything further. I think that they are alleging all manner of things. They are alleging A to Z. They should take time and put their case together properly. And then I think that where they are able to make a lot of significant impact in terms of the effect of what the nominee will have on our own election process. I accept the fact that to go and be a referee over such an important...
You need to be fair.
It's important, it's fair.
Okay.
The person has to be fair. But there's nothing against her as we speak. And our brother should be humble enough to understand that the woman is good enough to do the job. And let's allow her to work.
I'm grateful.
And they should stop poisoning the system.
Grateful.
Because they are trying to make the work difficult even before she starts. No evidence.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Free Senior High School. The finance minister says that time now to do targeting. ISODEC is suggesting that boarding charges be paid by parents. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. Right, welcome back. And if you take a look at the finder this morning, two key issues with Free Senior High School. ISODEC is suggesting that boarding cost be borne by parents. Mr. Foriata says, let us now target instead of wholesale. Honorable Dompe, this story is too fresh on our minds for me to recount. The debate is back. Which way now? The issue is that we are struggling to deal with funding. The Minister of Finance is suggesting let's target, but we need the data to do that. ISODEC says boarding costs for parents. Which way do we go?
Well, first of all, I think that I personally and the MPP largely were not the fact that we're going to go through these foreseeable difficulties were not lost on us. Difficulties relative space, costs, and a whole lot. They were not lost on us. But it was important for us at that time when we were campaigning that it's critical that we start this process, because we have also borrowed into what is happening in other jurisdictions like Kenya, Uganda, and other places. And so it was one of the key flagship projects of then candidate Akufo-Addo. And God being so good, the Ghanaian people gave us the mandate, and we put it in motion. Now, you can't also foretell, so to speak, all the difficulties that you are possibly to encounter in the course of implementing the policies, than actually practically implementing some of them, and then things will come up really at you. So this has come up, and we are not pretending about that. I think we've displayed enough humility to come to the fore and say that yes, we need to distinguish the beneficiaries. There are people who don't. Myself, I can pay.
Right.
I don't mind. My children don't need to benefit.
I have said that all 275 MPs should pay.
Yes, I agree with you largely. So it is time for us to distinguish these and put things in proper perspective. I think that this multi-tracking system has come up as a better option. If you talk to educationists, Professor Adai and a few others who have been in the educational system for a while, have the competence and the professional experience, will tell you the essence of this. Now, Kenya, when I was coming, I was reading about Kenya a lot. Kenya, and I checked, that's the last time I checked, about 300 schools in the USFA are doing this multi-tracking system. And one of the benefits, clearly, is to give us a lot of space, and also to have we're going to get more lecturers are going to be recruited. It's going to give job to people. It will also give them, the lecturers, the chance to have a go, reach out to more of the students. So we obviously not pretending that the free SHS has posed a challenge to us as a country. But I am proud because we did not pretend that this was going to be a problem. And I compare what President Akufo-Addo is doing with what President Muhammad said at that time. They said, well, this thing will take us about 20 years. And then President Akufo-Addo said that we need to start it. So it is better, we are going through the difficulty. It is important that we are displaying the humility by coming out to say that these are the challenges. And as a country, all of us are beginning to discuss and look at better options that will give a lasting and sustainable solution.
What about the argument? Sorry for cutting, but for instance, Imani says that it actually discussed this targeting with the then MPP in the position, but they were not taken into consideration.
Well, I've heard that view too. And to be fair to them, I think the Imani said that. But it's better late than never. And then, as I said, we have taken that into consideration now. Now we are being hit by the challenge, and the government is taking the necessary detour, which will ensure that we get a sustainable system which will benefit largely the people who are really in need. So it's a good call.
Right.
And I think that we have to take out the politics out of it. Now, the last time somebody a minority member made a statement on free SHS. And then I heard my colleagues in the minority says that, yes, they've accepted the free SHS. Okay? So there is no argument as to whether the free SHS is bad or not. And we cannot wait for 20 years to implement the system either. Now we have challenges. All of us should bring ideas on board, including the minority, to move this country forward. This thing about, I am not a person who believes in politicizing everything.
Right.
And then, well, let's go and say it in a manner that will give us a political mileage. It's not going to help any of us. I think that genuinely a system has been operated, put in motion. The president means well. The country is set on good track. Among the Committee of Nations in Africa, Ghana is seen as a wonderful example. We are doing very well. Few countries in Africa are doing it. At the last African summit, most African countries are all beginning to buy into this free SHS because it's an investment that you don't get the dividends now. The dividends comes after a decade or so. So it's a good system. It is important we've all come to a conclusion that there are challenges. Let's all,
see how to deal with
these challenges. Yes.
All right, Ms. Amal, guess the NDC, the minority, is ready to offer suggestions to government on dealing with this issue of targeting and perhaps boarding costs for parents.
You see, this government is very lazy, a lazy government. And why do I say this? You remember under President Kufuor, he introduced a 4-year program at a time that he didn't put in place infrastructure. He exited, Professor Mills came in. When he came in, there were no, you remember, your TV station, where we used to watch it. Students were sleeping, headmasters' car garages were converted into classrooms. You remember? Or dining halls were converted into classrooms, and then they will rearrange the place for them to eat. What did the late Professor Mills, may he so rest in peace, yesterday was his 6th anniversary of his death. What did he do? He put in place a Marshall Plan. Come and see. The whole of our campuses in the secondary school were like one single construction zone. Brought up buildings, fast. Yeah, you remember. This is a lazy government because, first and foremost, what happened to project design concepts such as feasibility study? He says that some of the things you cannot foresee. You cannot foresee because you took a lazy approach. What happened to feasibility studies? What happened to piloting? You didn't do all these things. So you are groping in the dark. So clearly, you cannot see. Did you need a magician to tell this government that if you are not ready for the flood waters, don't open the floodgates? Did you need to tell anybody in this government that? Now, when you say that their approach, this two-track approach, is more or less like impulse implementation of a project, then they give you Kenya, they give you Germany, which are the US. They say some states in the US are also doing the same thing. I would even add one to them. In Denmark, where I happen to visit, they also do the same thing. Now, in Denmark and in those places, the long vac is a period used for the students to go into industry. They don't just come home and sleep like what they are trying to do. Because what they are trying to do is that, and you know, they are going to increase the holidays, the holiday periods, 80 days. Now, you and me, I'm not sure about him, but I know you fairly better. You and me attended the old system. The old system. O level and A level. You remember we had a third term, which was our long vac.
Right.
The educational authorities, and not politicians, the educational authorities realized that the long vac made students become stale. They stay home for long. They engage in social vices. Grown-ups use them for all other things. So with the design of the new system, they said that we're going to shorten the period so that you'll be in school. Now, you've sent us back. So this 80 days, after they've come back home, those in school will be there. These people who are at home, you are cooperating something, but you are not cooperating well. They arrange, and every industry leaves a place for this period, so that they are having something to do.
So that's your suggestion, that we should get industry to pick these ones.
They will not take it. They will
not take it. If they won't take it, it's not your consent.
President Mahama indicated
job as
to them that
is to come out with ideas.
But these people don't take it. Look, President Mahama indicated that we must have a stakeholder consultation on this matter. They poo-poo him. So these people are not people who will take advice. I am just talking to the Ghanaian people that there's a better option when the NDC comes.
Unfortunately, yes, we'll have to wrap up.
Well, right, but you see, the point must be made that the free SHS has brought relief.
Yeah.
That is a fact. And then there are challenges. We admit it. We are not playing the dead goods syndrome. We agree that there are challenges, and we are ready to deal with the challenge.
All right.
And that's a distinction.
I'm grateful. Mr. Honorable Frank Anadompre is a member of Parliament for the Inswim Adwejiri constituency. Honorable Abraham Maliba is a member of the NDC's team. Gentlemen, grateful for your time this morning. Stay with us. The debate will continue. There is some more on planting for food and jobs. Good morning once again.
Zinyina, Moa Yesua, Moa Zinyina, Sumbucha Zinyina. Yesua, Moazinina, Sombochen, Nazinina. Moa Yesua, Iwa Yesua, Noazinina. Yesue, Yesu, Sombochen, Nazinina. Shanansa, Moa Yesua, Moa Zinina. Mede, Osonia Sasi, Afuni Yesu, Onona Kura, Azinina Mo, Azinina. Shanansa, Moa Yesua, Moa Zinina. Yesua, Moazinina, Yesue, Yesu, Osombochen Nazinina. Yesua, Moazinina, Yesue, Yesu, Osombochen Nazinina. Yes, Asomeba. Asomeba. Yes, Asomeba. Asomeba. Yes, Asomeba. Asombochen Nazinina. Yes, Asomeba. Asombochen Nazinina. Yes, Asomeba. Okrayemo so Korean enema odiyam from Zuachaye Wanchi and Bribia Adumye Uma Broyo Erati Yadawa Okrayemo so Korean enema odiyam from Zuachaye Wanchi and Bribia Adumye Uma Broyo Erasi Yadawasi Samirani Awaya Manu to Minka Amisidana Mada Minyamiasi Wanadum Bebe you Yes and I'm into me famano Hey Maya Enti Erade Midi Bedia Midi Baba for them for me and your fair. Oh, Erasi Yadawasi.
Thank you so much, Inner Circle Incorporated, for giving us that beautiful music this morning. But My Help campaign, what is that about? You have a program coming up. Tell us a little about that before we wrap up.
All right, so My Help campaign is all about extending help to people that are less privileged. And so we picked a village somewhere in the central region where we are trying to build an IT center to help the school grow better, because we feel if they are competing with the same students in Accra, it's a little bit unfair. So basically what we're trying to do just to get them up to speed with the world.
Very well. So you've got a program coming up. Exactly. What exactly is it? When is it? How do we get there? What time is it?
All right. So Touching Heaven is happening this Sunday at the National Theatre. It's happening at 4 p.m. Exactly. We have artists like Pastor Coleman. We have Willie Paulo. We have Overflow coming. We have Impact Project coming. In fact, it's a packed program. Francis and we will be there. And so it's a very packed program. So we want to invite everybody out there to be part of the program, basically.
Very well. So I'm sure you take us away with one beautiful song before we wrap up. We're going on a break, so take us away.
Most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. All right. There is none like you, Jesus. Yeah. This is Inner Circle Incorporated. Get ready for Touching Heaven. National Theatre. The song already says. Listen. I've been searching just to know who I am. See, I've been trampled upon, rejected by many. Yeah. Last Sunday in church, I heard the preacher man say that only you, God, know who I am. Oh, yeah. I've been searching just to know who I am. Listen, see, I've been trampled upon, rejected by me. Yeah. Last Sunday in church, I heard a preacher man saying that only you, God, knows who I am. Says you, the only one, yes, you, the only one.
On Wednesdays, we talk about some health condition and help you understand it better so you can get treatment if you have that ailment. But speaking to me today, we're talking about trachoma, and I have Dr. Kofi Marfo. He's the acting manager for the Ghana Neglected Tropical Diseases for the Ghana Health Service here in Ghana. And we're going to talk about it because it's one of the conditions that affects the eyes and many people don't get to hear about it enough. And so let me delve into it with him. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Marfo. And let's talk about neglected tropical diseases in general, of which trachoma is one of them. Tell us in totality, when we say neglected tropical diseases, what are they?
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Neglected tropical diseases are a group of diseases found in the most impoverished parts of the globe. Okay. Globally, we're talking about 17 neglected tropical diseases. In Ghana, in country, we have 12, and trachoma is one of the 12 diseases that we're talking about.
Before we go further, I'd like to issue, a viewer's discretion. We'll be showing some videos alongside of what trachoma can do to the eye. So viewers' discretion out there as you watch these videos. They may be uncomfortable, but that is the real situation. We need to get the information across. So let's talk about trachoma. What causes it and how does it manifest?
Yeah, thank you.
So basically, trachoma is a bacterial infection of the eye. Okay. Specifically, it's caused by a type of bacteria called Chlamydia trachomatis, and that affects the conjunctiva of the eyes. So what happens is that it starts with the formation of follicles, and then that from the stage of follicles, we come to the stage of what we call TI, that's called intense stage, and then leads to the scar formation at the conjunctiva. When you have the scar formation, then the eyelids, you know, the eyelids and the eyelashes normally the eyelashes turn outwards. Right. Yes, and because of the scar formation at the conjunctiva, you find the eyelashes turning inwards and then rubbing on the front of the eyes, what in medical parlance is popularly known as cornea. And that leads to ulceration of the cornea, scar formation of the cornea, and then there's visual impairment, and ultimately the person can get blind.
Okay, so
that is
what kind of communities or amongst which people do we commonly see trachoma occurring?
Yeah, basically, trachoma occurs in very dusty areas, dry areas, and unhygienic areas, with whereby there's not much safe water, and then we don't have enough latrines, but the environmental improvement somehow compromised over there, and then that's when we have trachoma thriving.
Okay, so how does it spread from one person to the other person?
Yeah, so we have the direct contact and the indirect. The direct, you know, when you have trachoma, I'll be coming to the signs and symptoms, but we have you have a patient discharging from the eyes. So by contact with the hand, the person can send to transfer to another person, or by contact with, let's say, handkerchiefs, clothes, whatever, the person can get in touch with the discharge from the eyes and transfer to another person. So that's the direct contact. And we have the indirect, whereby flies. So once again, it's about environment. When you have lots of flies in the environment, we find flies picking bacteria from the discharge and transferring to another person. So we have the direct and indirect. Yes.
Well, you mentioned the signs and symptoms. So typically, what would someone come complaining about to the doctor for you to be able to identify?
Yes, so basically, the signs and symptoms are grouped into two parts. We have the early signs and symptoms and the late signs and symptoms. The early signs and symptoms will take place in a child, let's say 1 to 9 years, basically, and then we're talking about the sensation of foreign material in the eyes. The eyes are red, discharging. We have pains in the eyes. So that's for the between the 1 to 9 years for children. Sometimes to some of them even complain of the fear of light, what is popularly known as photophobia. Yes, so that's for the early stage. For the late stage, most often it happens from the 15 years and above, whereby because of the interning of the eyelashes, you realize that the eyelashes begin to scrub or to rub on the eyes, the front of the eyes, the cornea, and so you also have pains, the eyes. The eyelashes now turn, you can see visually, the eyelashes are now turned inwards, and then you have visual impairment, and ultimately blindness.
So what is the advice out there? How best can we prevent trachoma from spreading and from becoming one of the neglected tropical diseases in Ghana?
Yes, so I'll be talking about the strategy of the WHO. Yes, but the very salient point here is about environmental improvement, making sure that we have enough latrines, safe water in the communities. People do not defecate outside in the open, because that leads to, I've mentioned the indirect contact. That principally comes from flies picking germs from the discharge. So we need to make sure that we have many of these things in place so that the environment is clean. Like I said earlier on, that trachoma thrives in dry, dusty, and unhygienic environments. So we should make sure that our environment is quite healthy and hygienic.
Very well. Importantly, you are launching a program. Tell us about that.
Yes. So first of all, we want to celebrate our achievement. We've come a long way. We had to implement the WHO strategy, popularly known as SAFE, S-A-F-E. So the S is surgery, whereby those persons having the intended eyelashes are correct. We will correct that. We give antibiotics. Right. So we go into the communities yearly basis, and the endemic communities are given antibiotics. Right. Let me mention that trachoma is endemic in northern region and upper west region. So these are the two regions that we have trachoma. And so that's what we'll be doing. Then the facial cleanliness, whereby we advise and educate community members to wash their faces, and then environmental improvement, which I've mentioned about. So for this launch, we'll be doing, first of all, we want to celebrate the achievement, because we've come a long way, and it will be an opportunity also for WHO to present our certificate of validation to the Minister of Health, basically. So
when is that happening?
That will take place on the 7th of August.
Okay, and who's invited?
Oh, many, including the press, yourself, the partners, Ghana Health Service, so many people.
But you say we've chalked some achievements concerning that. So can you tell us the statistics down from where we've come from up to where we are now?
Yes. So before we started treatment of or what we call the Mass Drug Administration, we did what we call mapping. Okay. Yes. And then the prevalence of trachoma was above the WHO threshold. Okay. And the WHO threshold was then 5%. And in all the districts in Northern and Upper West, they all were above 5%. Currently, as I speak, all districts in Upper West, Northern region are below the threshold. Nice. And so that's the achievement.
Indeed, you have done well.
A major achievement.
So we hope moving forward very soon it will be eradicated from Ghana, where trachoma will no longer be on our list of neglected tropical diseases. And on that note, I have been speaking to Dr. Marfo. He is the acting programs manager for the neglected tropical diseases at the Ghana Health Service. And we have been talking about trachoma and how best we can prevent it, because it is a preventable disease, but also there is help for anyone who has it. And so make sure you can contact the Ghana Health Service wherever you are, and they'll be willing to help you. Let's all help to make trachoma a thing of the past. And on that note, we still have ICI in studio. They'll be giving us music to go on a break with.
Baby, I'm so I'm free. Don't you mean in my bedroom? Yeah, say yes, so I better say, baby, my bedroom. I better say yes, so I Mama so myself, yeah, me see. Make us say yes, so I dear. I am not no, yeah, do me. Yana come fata, where I did Mama so myself, make us say yes, so I dear. You miss soon, I'm afraid. You meet in my bed, you need me. Make us say yes, so I dear. Make us say yes, so I dear. I mean, I've been more gone, I can't show. I was a bunny, been a gummy free more. tsunami free. Donya me di ma bedu ne dia me. Meka say yes why ah baby I'm tsunami free. Donya me di ma bedu ne ya. Meka say yes why Missy, make us say yes, why, yeah. I mean, I've been more panaka, me show. I was a bonny binaga, me free mo. I rather daruma, why, mammy, so must be. Make us say yes, why, yeah. Maybe I'm in tsunami free. You know me, the my bed, don't need me. Make us say yes, why, yeah. Ah, baby, I'm in tsunami free. You know me.
Oh boy, lovely music there from the Inner Circles Choir. And guess what? Sunday, you're going to have more music from them at the National Theatre as they get closer together to touch many lives. You've got to be there. Starts at 4 p.m. But let's talk a Greek now. Being joined by the Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Kennedy Osei Nyako. He is joining us. We're talking about the planting for food and jobs, progress made thus far, and some other issues that will emanate from the conversation. Honorable, welcome. Thank you very much. Good to have you. How's the Wednesday morning going?
Well, going well.
So far, so good. Yeah. How is the Agric Ministry faring respect to its mandate to feed Ghanaians?
Well, first of all, I just want to use this opportunity to say a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Well, our Agric Ministry, MOFA, as you know, our mandate is to how to promote sustainable agriculture and agribusiness through research, development, and extension services, support to farmers. So that is basically what we are doing as a ministry, trying to find a way as to how we can promote sustainable agriculture and agribusiness.
Are we making progress?
Very well. We are making progress under the Akufo-Addo administration. We are making progress.
So before the 2016 election, Agric was at a record low of 0.06%. What has changed since it took over?
Well, you saw the budget in the 2018 budget, and you saw the indication, the performance, the growth that we are recording in the agri sector. It tells you that something is being done right. With the current,
is that the reflection on the ground?
If I don't know how I mean, if it is not there.
Because if at the beginning of the year, sometimes around February, I went to the Carnation Market. I bought a plantain, a finger of plantain for 6 cedis. If the figures you're talking about on paper, black and white, is anything to go by, that's not a reflection of what's
so if production, let's say, if production goes up, and somebody, it's not a farmer who comes and sells this plantain to you. Does that through intermediaries, and these people are profit-making people. Just slap a huge profit on it, brings to the capital city to come and sell. You cannot blame the ministry.
But I can blame
the farmer.
Is it fair then to blame the ministry for roads that are bad, which is why somebody would want to profiteer on transporting the produce from the farm to the market? The roads are bad.
Yes, we all agree that some of the
and it impacts negatively on the work
yes,
you do.
Yes. I mean, you know how it increases post-harvest loss and all those.
What's the plan? What's the plan?
Within the ministry, we also have our own plan as to how we can even rehabilitate some of the farm roads to give easy access and transportation to our farmers to be able to convey their goods from farm to maybe to the market centers. So on our own, we are doing what we can do.
When are we to see a fruition of these plans? Because these plans have been talked about.
Well,
in fact, the last budget spoke about some of the plans.
As I speak to you, under GCAP, Ghana Commercial Agriculture Productivity Program, we are to construct certain feeder roads, which is under the ministry.
Okay.
I think procurement should have been completed by now to maybe rehabilitate some of the roads leading to this.
Can you say when this project is supposed to take full effect?
Well, I am not in charge, but I can tell you that I'm sure by now the procurement process will have been completed.
You don't sound too sure.
You see,
I have sure by now.
I have my schedule. Okay.
Okay.
My schedule is not. I'm in charge of perennial crops and in charge of WAP. Okay. There is a deputy minister who is also in charge of horticulture and GCAP.
But you don't have a consultation. You don't
that is why I'm able to tell you that procurement have been able, because these are all consultation, be able to know where it has gotten. And as at last week, Friday, I was made to understand that procurement has completed. Contractors are being given letters to move to site, so it takes a little bit of time. And these are rainy season. Even if you ask the farmer to the contractor to go to site, it's going to be very difficult for the contractor to work. So we normally do it at this, and so right after the rainy season, after June, August, they move to site. And
rainy season brings to mind One Village, One Dam. That was a major campaign promise from His Excellency. How is that faring? We're told that the dams will be there before the rains come. Now the rains are here. Where are the dams?
Well, this year alone, we plan to construct 570 of these small dams, which work has begun earnestly. If you go into the up north, recently when the president was there, he took the opportunity to even cut short for many more of these dams to be constructed. I mean, constructing a dam is not just a day or a week thing. It's a process. So they are doing it. And the rainy season, I mean, the north, you know, we have the northern sector and the southern sector. We normally have our rainy season maybe from May, June, July. They have their own somewhere from August, September going. So we are preparing, and I'm sure by the time the rainy season starts from up north, most of this dam might have been completed. The idea for this government...
You keep using might and may. That's not definite.
You see, in construction, full major, everything can happen at all, which it will be beyond the control.
But between January and now, the conditions have been favorable.
That is why I'm saying that They just moved. Contractors were awarded, given this contract to move to site not long ago. Some went maybe 2 months.
Do you know what caused the delay to get them to
mean,
move?
You see,
I mean, that was a
flagship
program.
Yes, but this government want to respect every bit of our laws.
Okay.
You cannot just because we want to build dams, you sidestep the procurement law or the procedure and just select people to go to site. No,
nobody's asking for that.
So that is why that is what has kept us. You make it open, competitive. Let everybody come in, tender it. Let us put the tender through rigorous assessment and now come out with the best. So that's why, and procurement in the public sector alone can take you a minute, not less than 6 months, sometimes 6 months.
One district, one factory was also a big one.
Yes.
I off the top of my head, I can talk about the Kumfi factory,
which is ongoing.
Commander. Where else are we planting anything?
Yes, you know, in total, Moti Ministry of Trade and Industry have received over 700 applications.
Okay.
Out of this 700, 332 have been screened for possible support.
Okay.
Out of this 332, 132 of them have gone through financial assessment. Out of this 132, 37 of them currently, construction is ongoing on the site. 95 of them will soon complete the financial process and they also go on site.
Do we have the money to fund these things?
Government, in collaboration with 10 banks, have earmarked for, I think, 4.2 billion to support this project. 10 banks set aside 4.2 billion Ghana cedi to support this project. And I think it's something that we have to applaud the government for that. And through EXIM is also doing its part, mobilizing some amount of money to also support.
Let's talk about planting for food and jobs. You mentioned, the minister mentioned 745,000 jobs that have been created.
Yes.
It's been heavily contested by the farmers themselves, the Peasant Farmers Association and all of that. Do you still stick by that number?
See, it's a record. These are records that the ministry we have. Okay? And we did not conjecture it. We didn't sit in our offices in MOFA and decide that, oh, okay, let's give this number today. We did it. No. This information came from the ground. We have officers, we have district officers. And before this planting for PFJ project was about to start, we sat down. There was a roundtable discussion. We did a lot of work. Okay? So the ministry said, okay, we want to grow maybe 400,000 metric tons of maize.
Okay.
Or this year we want to cultivate on maybe 170,000 hectares of land. That is what we want to cultivate.
They say these are just figures because it doesn't reflect the picture on the ground.
Well, I don't know what else, and I cannot speak contrary or differently.
Are these new jobs, the 745,000, are they new jobs?
I went to your sister.
No, you tell me.
They were asking the same question, and I asked them, what is the definition of a job creation? UN has a fine definition for it, and that is the standard one that we use for.
Okay.
If somebody is engaged in
whether they be new jobs or old jobs, they are.
We all work. You work here at a certain point in time. Don't you take a break, take leave?
It's for only 1 month.
So in farming, because we don't do all year round farming in this country.
Okay.
Because we are not using irrigation in optimum way that we have to use. So we are depending on the rain-fed.
Okay.
So if it is rain-fed are seasonal.
Okay.
So
in between season, what do they do? Those people these 745,000
what
do they do?
Our farmers, what have they been doing? If the season ends, they still get themselves preoccupied in their farm doing other farming activities. Okay. So it's there. So that is how our farmers have been living. It doesn't mean that when the rainy season ends, the farmers go to sleep. They don't. Okay. They have other farming activities that they do.
For Lami Wem, your minister was in Parliament, and he says categorically that For Lami Wem has been defeated. Those were his words.
I did not.
He said it. I mean, we could play the tape for us. So he said that. And then while he was saying that, up north, we're being told that For Lami Wem is still in existence. In fact, as of Monday, 2 days away from now, the Fall Army worm is still there. Was it indeed defeated?
Let me tell you, see, maybe my minister used the word defeated in the context, which may be the...
Which other context would
you
it
see,
be?
if you have about 132,000 hectares of land being attacked, invaded by this, insect or these worms, okay? And you are able, as a ministry, through our own intervention, we were able to recover 122,000 hectares of these distracted lands or farms. We were able to recover it. It tells you that maybe that was the context. It tells you that.
So the meaning for defeat, per the Oxford English Dictionary, says a win, victory over someone in a battle or other contest, overcome or beat. An instance of defeating or being defeated.
Does it mean
that's it? So
does it mean when armies go to war and they win, there wouldn't be any casualty? Is that what we are trying to mean?
So
definitely you win. When you go for a battle, you win. But doesn't mean it will be casualty free. Definitely there will be some casualty. That's why I'm saying if you have 132,000 hectares of land being invaded by army worms.
So you're making a suggestion that this is a global problem. Is it beyond you? Is it beyond you to deal with?
Army worm, I'm just using your medium to have come to stay. If you're a farmer, you need to be conscientized and know that army worm is a global phenomenon. They have come to stay.
Are you powerless before army worm?
You are not powerless. I mean, that is why the ministry have put in several interventions, education, early warning signs, surveillance around to make sure that early detection is what matters. And the early detection for the past, let's say 1 year or months, it has been a problem for us because of non-availability of agri-extension agents.
Are we looking at that? Because the 68 New Year School suggested that, in fact, the use of technology, getting phones into the farms, getting the agri-extension officers.
It is there.
Those recommendations have not been implemented.
The phones are there. Even
have you implemented them?
We are doing. FAO is currently doing it. Food and Agriculture Organization, they are currently doing it. And all district agri officers, they have a monitoring system for all army worm monitoring system application.
Given another chance, do you think that your minister would rephrase the Fall Army worm has been defeated to somebody else?
That's why I'm saying that my minister had used that defeated word in a contest.
Something he lied to Parliament.
You are the reporter. The journalist failed to understand, go into detail to find out more. If you say defeated, what exactly?
Something he lied to Parliament.
No, he didn't lie. He has used, and even if you give me the opportunity now, maybe I would have used the same defeated and explain it into details like what I'm doing now. So it depends on the context that you are talking about. If you have 100 armies coming to attack you, 100 armies come and attack you, you and your army, and you are able to, slaughter, let's say, 110 of them. Have you defeated those armies, or you've defeated
What hope is there? That's your camera. What hope is there for that farmer whose farm has been raised down by Fall Army worm? He says the chemicals are not effective and he cannot feed his family. What hope is there? See, what hope do you give, Honorable Kennedy?
This is the chemicals. This is the WHO class standard recommended chemical that is used to fight.
So
it's
now,
the application.
So now the farmer is looking for hope.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you give that farmer?
Is the application.
As Deputy Agri Minister.
Before I will go to the hope, let me tell you, there have been several problems with the application of the chemical. Okay. These worms, they come at night and at dawn.
That's because you didn't have extension.
We don't have the extension. That is why we went to IMF because of the IMF conditionalities. We couldn't hide. The government of Canada couldn't hide.
But there are a lot of extension officers who have been trained with government money who are sitting at home unemployed. Without financial clearance.
No extension officer have been trained. So we went to IMF to get the approval to come to. So we are now going to recruit.
If no extension officer had been trained, where did you suddenly get them to come and fill the slot?
We decided to use this graduates from the agri colleges through youth employment agency, and we gave them some kind of training to help the farmers. And most of these people are, because it's a youth employment program, maybe at a point in time you engage, he gets a job and he has it. So you won't get the maybe.
So why don't you make it official?
So that is why I'm saying that.
Why don't you solidify it?
Now we have gotten approval to engage 2,700.
I'll give you 30 seconds. So that's your camera. To the to the farmer out there whose farm has been raised down. His children can't go to school. He can't feed his wife. So his wife is calling him useless. What's the hope for him?
No, I don't think any wife.
But if you don't bring money home, your wife will say you're useless.
The government of Ghana.
What's the hope for him?
The government of Ghana responsibility, as like I've indicated, that army worm have come to stay. Our responsibility is to make sure that we make available enough chemicals to support them. This year alone, we procured 100,000 liters of.
Is that the hope you want to give the farmer out there?
Because
we run out of time.
Because if the chemicals are not there and their farm are being ravaged, how are they going to fight against this, control it? So first of all, we are making provision of this chemical. Second, we are doing extensive education and surveillance.
Okay.
Thirdly,
so
the
that's
last
the whole
one, research. As I speak now, CSI are in the laboratory. We are developing, we have identified a more natural way of combating this worm. And very soon, they will finish with the laboratory.
So it's not come to stay. That's the hope.
We are going to control.
Okay, thank you.
We are going to use it to control it.
Honorable Kennedy,
let's relax. The ministry is fighting. We are making sure that you get whatever chemical that you need to make sure that you use to control the invasion of this army worm. We are not much concerned. And those that their farms have been destroyed, the ministry is working hard to see how we can support these farmers to go back and have their farms.
I thank you very much. And that's how we end the conversation. Honorable Kennedy Osei-Nyarko is the Deputy Minister for Agric. He says, well, we're fighting, we're working at it to get the problem solved. If that's hope for you, well, have a great Wednesday. My name is Johnny Hughes. See you later.
Jesus, touch a man, Bekasa Wuyora, Mitty Peja for Jesus, Empire but here for Jesus, me free Mako Memo, Mekasa Wuyora. Chama Kenny, Namami, Kuto, Kuto, now say I